Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today in 2021, things are getting better. Things are way better than last year, the year before, because of, reasons. And for contractors especially. Back then, it was really easy for you to lose your job because the company was struggling to maintain its profit margins or whatever. And if you were a contractor, you would usually be the first on the chopping block. So 2020 and 2019 were not very great areas to be a contractor unless you were working for specific areas that were growing, like Amazon and Zoom and shit like that, or if you were just, really lucky or something. Anyways, 2021 is looking a lot better for us. For us contractors and freelancers, projects are now increasing. Companies are now stretching their legs out, getting that money hand going because they are ready to grow. So, I'm here to discuss how to be a contractor in 2021 with all this opportunity. Stay tuned after the break and check out my new break thing. Let's get into the actual good stuff, the market trends. You need to know what the market trends are nowadays in order to find the right skill set to improve on, to learn, in order to get the more lucrative jobs. So, what are the market trends right now? Well, number one market trend right now is going to be cloud technology. Yes, cloud technology is something that is here to stay and it will never go away, as nearly every job I have seen is actually requiring you to have some sort of cloud experience or cloud technology if you're going to be a software developer. They want you to be able to work with these technologies as more and more companies are embracing the virtualization that cloud offers. Also, because of the pandemic, this whole remote stuff forced companies to basically rework their infrastructure. So they have now adopted more and more remote services, aka they've adopted more cloud services, because cloud services can double up as remote services, as they don't have to have all that hardware lying around because it's all virtual. So cloud technology in the form of AWS, in the form of Azure or Google will serve you well. AWS is the biggest share of the cloud market. Following is Azure, and then Google is last. And there are other little ones here and there, but these are the top three, and each one of them have their own certifications that you can get in order to bolster your credentials, basically. But if you're going to learn cloud, then I suggest you learn those three technologies, and whole new worlds will open up to you. You don't have to just be a programmer. You could be a cloud architect that works specifically with creating the cloud infrastructure these companies will use in order to build their applications or, their existing infrastructure, or do a lift and shift into them. Either way, it's a good thing to learn. It is something that will last a very long time, as this is now the future and the present. So you better hop on this. And if you don't have any cloud experience, I suggest you do get something, get a certification or whatever, because if not, you will be left behind. So that's why I bring this up first. So what's the next market trend that I see right now that is super huge? We're going to be discussing cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity has become a hot issue, especially since the Colonial Pipeline was hacked, and then most of the oil in the eastern side of the US was basically held hostage, and a bunch of gas stations, lost a lot of gas and they couldn't refill it, and that was a big old hubbub back in May. So that has awakened a much more fervent need for these cybersecurity professionals. Now, I'm not saying that you should just if you're a programmer, I'm not saying to quit your programming job. I'm saying that if you are a programmer, it might be good to get some cybersecurity credentials on your belt. I'm not saying that this is it's going to be as great as getting, let's say, a cloud certification, but it can help you distinguish yourself from the competition and can get you better and better rates, because now you can just say, hey, I have the cybersecurity professional, blah, blah, blah. I can do all this stuff. But what should you focus on? You should focus on, if you're just a programmer, I would focus on getting a certification. But if you don't have an actual path and you're still learning yourself what exactly you want to do, and you don't like programming, maybe look into cybersecurity. It doesn't take programming to do it. What it takes is a different set of skills, a different mindset. So you don't have to worry about doing too much programming, but it will require you to go through a lot of training to do it, a lot of hours spent learning how to keep things safe and what to do in certain situations, hacks, hostilities, all that stuff. So if you do that, you can get paid quite handsomely in cybersecurity because I don't see demand falling for cybersecurity professionals. The government wants them, so the private industry wants them. So if you're a cybersecurity professional out there or have some sort of cybersecurity professionals, the world is your oyster. So good luck with that. Last thing on my list is going to be software development. Obviously, I'm a contractor who does software development for a living. This is a contracting software development channel for software contractors. So obviously I'm going to be focusing on this, right? And also software programming is as in high demand as ever, thanks to, just everybody needs a programmer, everybody needs a developer, everybody needs a web application being done for their business. You're basically needed everywhere, and there's not enough of you to go around. But what exactly should you focus on if you're a software developer, if you are a new software developer trying to break into the industry, or if you are someone who just wants to make more and more money? What is the most popular things you can focus on? Now, there could be a gigantic list of technologies here, but I'm going to focus on just the top 3, in my opinion. Python is a language that has ballooned in popularity because it can be used in so many different things. Not only can it be used as an actual, programming language to build, web application, it could also be used in AI, in your cloud, in machine learning, in basically anything you want to make, including making your own personal tools so that you could, run stuff like on your environments, or if you need to do specific testing for yourself. Python is a very, very flexible language, very easy language to learn, and it's also open source. So many places are adopting Python for many different needs. So learning Python will open a lot of opportunities for you. Now, the Python tech stack can vary, and usually they go with even more open source stuff like MongoDB, and any other open source technology because it's so flexible. But normally I've seen it used as a web application developer myself. I've seen it used in clouds technology, and I've also seen it used as AI as well. So those are just some of the things you can do with Python, but Python is a very flexible language and it is worth learning. So that is my 2 cents on that, and I would absolutely pick up Python if you don't have it. So what's the next programming language going to be? It's going to be JavaScript. Yes, JavaScript is still as popular as ever. And if you want to be a web application developer, you want to be a full stack developer, most jobs will require you to have some form of JavaScript, whether it is in the form of the plain JavaScript or in its many variations frameworks like React, like Angular, and Vue.js. These are the most popular web application front-end frameworks that you'll find for many jobs, and learning JavaScript will help you do the other one. Even though I say that these languages are so disparately different, I consider them different languages, but the actual base language is JavaScript. So learning JavaScript will actually help you a lot if you're trying to go into that particular field. JavaScript is a front-end development language usually, but it can be used for other things. However, I would stick with a framework though. I will learn the newer frameworks. React, Angular, Vue.js, if you're going into that. These are the newer JavaScript frameworks. It's probably better to learn these than actually learning plain JavaScript, in my opinion. So, yeah, if you're going to go into this path, learn JavaScript. JavaScript is still heavily used language, and it's almost as ubiquitous as HTML and CSS if you ever see that in a job description. So, I'm going to move on. And the final programming language, as the most biased Microsoft stack developer there is, it's going to be C#. I say C# is still a very powerful language to learn. It is still a very ubiquitous language to learn, even though it's limited to Microsoft technology. The reason being is because many places adopted Microsoft technologies early on and are still using them. So many corporations, many companies still use Microsoft technology, even though they might be adopting other open source technologies. What they're not probably going to do is going to, convert everything that's from their Microsoft C# side into something else. That's kind of impractical. And Microsoft is also integrating that C# stuff into their cloud technology. So C# is still a relevant language to learn if you want to do some cloud things, because Azure obviously is Microsoft's baby, and so is C#. So they're going to make them work together and work nicely with each other, in theory. Also, I've noticed that C# is kind of like the backbone of many web applications that I've worked on, obviously as a Microsoft tech stack. So from experience, from my anecdotal experience, I will tell you that C# is a very nice language to learn. And if Blazor gets off the ground, you might have a new front end language that Microsoft is creating. Microsoft had another one called Razor that was very clunky and is server side and slow compared to everything else, but it's more secure or something. However, Blazor is meant to fix the flaws that Razor has, which is being super slow and super clunky. So, but still is written in C#. So you might actually find a language that can do front end and back end work sooner than later. Let's see. Fingers crossed for us Microsoft techies out there. The languages that I went over are not the only languages you can look into. There are other languages out there that do make a lot of money if you go into them. It's just that these are the 3 most used languages that I have seen when I go looking for like a full stack position, as that is my frame of reference. Yours might be different. If you're just a front-end developer, then you'll probably focus more on the JavaScript stuff. And if you're a back-end developer, you'll probably focus on the Python or the C# stuff. Either way, I didn't go over the tech stacks either because there's so many tech stacks that these things can move into. That's why I'm saying they're the most ubiquitous technologies that there is. Some of these tech stacks use cloud, some of them don't. Some of them use proprietary technologies like C# uses SQL. Some of them don't, like MongoDB and Python, etc., etc. There's many different combinations out there, and the more complementary the tech stack you learn, the better it is for you, because that's most likely what's going to be used and asked for when you go for these positions. So with that in mind, if you're a contractor, the first thing you have to sort out is your tax situation. And if you want to be an LLC or a 1099, I would suggest going the LLC route. You have better deductions that way. And if you get a corp-to-corp position, it's even better, because that means you're dealing with your own corporation and there's some things you can do there. I cannot go into the tax stuff, but that would be my suggestion as for entertainment purposes. And as for the skill side of things, I have given you the top technologies out there and the top positions you can look for. If you don't want to be a pure software programmer, that's fine. There's cybersecurity route you can go into, and you could be the cloud. You could go to the cloud route as well. The cloud route doesn't really require that much more programming. You just need to know how, cloud architecture works. As for the programmers, that these technologies are, what I've already discussed. And I believe that there is a tech stack out there for you that will make you successful. And with that, there's really nothing much more to contracting in 2021. It is a lot better now than it was in 2020 or 2019, because the pandemic is finally, subsiding more and more. Places are opening up. Companies are finally able to rake in profits without having to rely on a virtual workforce. Now they could actually have a on-prem workforce, which may be a good or bad thing for you developers out there, depending on what you want. So keep that in mind. But things are looking bright out there for us, and you should take advantage of it. As companies are getting out of the cave of the lockdowns and stuff like that, they will start to get and grow whatever they can grow. So just letting you know, it's good times right now. So yeah, take care and good luck.